Hey everyone, welcome to Onyx Training Table. Mark. Today I want to talk about the recent shooting of Andrew Brown in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. Now, I want to talk about this in a couple of ways. One, being through the tactics, the decision making, the intent and the goal of the officers involved, as well as the decision for the district attorney to make about that the officer's actions were justified in this case and how problematic that is in policing to me, and for the community to support policing and support the decision making by these police officers, and for the community to feel good about policing, because we got, and we'll talk about this as we go, but just a couple of things I want to really point out in this video that just run very counter to what the goals are of a team, either a SWAT team or, in this case, probably a drug unit serving a warrant, whether it be a search warrant on a house or an arrest warrant, and how problematic these decisions being made by district attorneys are, especially when they just give this blanket thing that these officers are justified. Because as we look at this video, um, I mean, I've been in the situation. I've been shot at. I've served over 600 warrants. I've had people drive into my vehicle with their vehicle uh, while trying to block them in on drug busts, on arrests, everything. So I've also had people drive towards me when I'm standing still, and the big thing about that is get out of the way of the car. You know, and I'm going to touch on a couple things about why it's so problematic that these officers are shooting into a moving vehicle anyway. And people won't agree with me, and that's fine. If you've got the same level of experience that I have, and have trained as many people as I have, and have trained in many places as I have, then feel free to talk up. But if you have no direct police experience, I would ask that you just sit and listen and suspend your previously held beliefs and just listen to what I'm saying and how I'm presenting it. Okay. So I'm going to minimize my screen just a little bit as we go here. And I'm just going to run the video. It's, as you see, it's under 2 minutes video, and then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it kind of as we go. I'll split it up. It's from two different perspectives, two different body worn cameras from operators on this call. And I'm going to speak to a few different issues. But here we go. Here's the first part.
The total length of officer involvement with Mr. Brown from the time they exited the vehicle until Mr. Brown was removed from the vehicle is 44 seconds.
Okay, so think about that. 44 seconds from the time they attempt contact with him, he drives off, they shoot him, and then they get him out of the car. It's 44 seconds. So this is the camera, somebody they're riding in the back of a pickup truck going to the location. That's their delivery vehicle, is a pickup truck for much of the team. They're going to get out. Okay, we're going to run through this in a second, but I just want to address this first part. So a couple things there. First thing is professionalism. I get it. We all want to be cool. We all want to look so tough. But to show up to do a warrant like that, you got your baseball hat on, flipped backwards. That doesn't speak to professionalism. That doesn't speak to that you're prepared, that you have the proper equipment to do the job. I mean, I don't want to get down in the weeds with it, but this is not a TV show. This is not, SWAT back in the 70s where, they put their hat on backwards, and all that stuff. So how you look and how you present is going to carry through to how you act and what you do in a situation. So as they get out of the car, get off the truck, the first thing you hear is people yelling, "Go, go, go, go." This isn't a race. It's a warrant service. We're not we don't have a stopwatch, or shouldn't have. I know too many teams are now still, this dynamic entry, this dynamic movement, running everywhere and doing this stuff and yelling and screaming. And all that does is it brings chaos. I have this now saying, I say it's BYOC, bring your own chaos. So you're supposed to come in and restore order to a chaotic situation. You show up and you create chaos and you bring the chaos that doesn't help things. So as they jump out and they start yelling go go, and it becomes this frenetic thing, everybody starts to get amped up, adrenaline wise. Everybody's like, oh my God, something's happening, I got to be there. Now he's in the car. Okay, great. Did they not have an eyes on beforehand? I don't know. Was somebody not watching to say, hey, he's sitting in the car right now. All right, he could go mobile. All right, that's a consideration. Maybe they don't have eyes on. They should. You should always have eyes on prior to your warrant service, because the situation could change from the time you did your planning or whatever your last time looking at to the time you served the warrant. So he's obviously in the car right now, and they yell and they surround the car. When they surround the car, the first thing they do is they create a crossfire situation. Now, if they're talking about they shot at him because they were scared for their safety and their partner's safety, well, they're in a crossfire. They're in a circle around the car. They're shooting at each other. So they obviously aren't too concerned with that to prevent that crossfire situation in the first place, right? These are things we got to consider and think about. We're not thinking about them. And then after the fact, we want to say, oh, we were in fear for our life. But as I'm sitting here looking at this from an educated viewpoint, I'm going, well, you created a dangerous situation by standing in front of an occupied vehicle. Why would you get in front of an occupied vehicle? Why would you run up to an occupied vehicle? Why would you create a chaotic situation? OODA loop. So now this suspect has to observe, orient, decide, and act. Now, he's a drug dealer. People jump out and start running up to him with guns. What can he reasonably assume? They're trying to rob him. Yeah, you might say, oh, we got police on our thing. Okay, great. OODA loop. The person still has to observe and orient. How long does it take them to orient? They aren't on our time schedule, it's on their time schedule, okay? And we have to accommodate for that. So as they come up, they start yelling and screaming at him and surrounding the car. I'll show you from a different viewpoint how bad their crossfire is. And they start yelling at him and cursing at him, and that's not professional. That doesn't bring the adrenaline, the excitement, the anxiety of the situation down. It amps it up. So now we're creating that chaotic situation. He tries to drive away. As you look at as he's driving away, he's trying to drive in between people, not through them or over them. He's trying to drive past them, around them to get away. So the shooting starts as he's moving past all the officers. So again, how are they able to say that they were in fear for their life if they wait until he is leaving to start shooting at him? And as we know, the autopsy report that the fatal shot, he was hit 2 out of 14 times apparently. The fatal shot was to the back of his head, meaning he was already past officers, because if he wasn't, the officers were then violating the 4th basic firearm safety rule, which is be aware of your target and beyond. If there were police officers beyond the suspect still, they shouldn't have taken that shot based on their training. I'm talking about everything based on the training, our principles, our tactics that we teach. If they haven't learned them, that's one thing. If they haven't learned them, they should. But if they've learned them and they're just disregarding them, then that becomes almost criminally negligent, that you are now disregarding your training, disregarding your preparation, and you're just doing whatever, right? And so as we watch this, finish this up, the car now, they shoot him and they end up killing him. The car now is what I've heard referred to, and I really like it, is an unguided missile. The car is now, nobody is driving the car, nobody's controlling the car, it's just got to stop on its own. What if the person has a reaction, they get shot, and they step on the gas? Now the car is accelerating into whatever is going to stop it. Okay, we have just created possibly a more dangerous situation, and we now put more innocent people at risk. These are things we need to be thinking about. So I'm going to finish up with this perspective. So a lot of shooting there. They stand there, and now they run up to the car. Okay, it went over into somebody else's yard. What if somebody was out in the yard? So looking at that, you also have to understand when they shot at that car, they shot in the direction of that house across that little field. So they missed with 12 of their 14 rounds. Where did those rounds go? They created a much more dangerous situation for the community than Mr. Brown ever presented. But yet we try to say, oh, we're protecting the community and we're doing stuff. Well, you're shooting at a house. You're shooting towards several houses. The bullets don't stop because they missed the car. They continue going. Those are rifle rounds and handgun rounds. So as we're looking at this, please suspend the emotion. I support policing. I support policing 100%. Totally. When we're doing things like this, though, and then excusing it and justifying it, we are now justified that the police can shoot at a car as it's driving away in a neighborhood, at another house, towards another house, miss 80% of the rounds, and it's okay. We're saying it's okay to do that. And then we wonder why police officers continue to do this because we're telling them it's okay. We're telling them that you're in fear for your life, that's fine. If we're that fearful, we should not be training because this action, the action these officers took, could have been done with no training at all and would have looked the same, maybe even better. I don't know. But but we have to think about what we're doing, what message we're sending when we say that this action was justified. Here's from another angle. Another operator. Okay, so now, as we see from this body camera, what have we already created? Crossfire. There, somebody shouldn't be in a spot, right? Plus, that you have to think about it. Unless this guy is like actively committing a crime, killing somebody in this car, leave him out. He's a drug dealer. You're going there. The arrest warrant was for drugs. The search warrant was for drugs. Man, if he wants to run away, run away. You know who he is. You're at his house. You know where he lives. You know what he looks like. You've been dealing with him for decades. You know his car. Unless he abandons it, who cares? The thing is, we know. Why are we now, one, putting officers at risk like this, and like this officer who's body camera, and you'll see two other officers at least around here who are in the way of the car. But watch the car action. So so the crossfire, they still have crossfire. They back away. Keep now this one comes out to try to block. Why? Why is he coming up? He knows the car is moving. He should just stay where he is or stay back. But he comes up to try to block. Then he realizes, whoa, I better get out of the way. But look at the action of the driver. If he wanted to hit this officer, what would he have done? Just drove into him. He's trying to avoid him. He just wants to escape. Now, tell me which officer is in jeopardy here. Which one? Because the DA says that they were justified because of the threat of the driver hitting one of the officers, striking an officer. So tell me which officer is in jeopardy right now. There's an officer standing off to the left of the car, driver's side of the car, but where is the officer in jeopardy right now? Now they shoot. Now they shoot 14 rounds at him. What direction are they shooting? They miss 12 out of 14 rounds. One gets him in the back of the head. But look at this. Where are they shooting? What's this? Is this car parked or moving? We'll see in a second. They have just now created an unguided missile rolling down the street. What if another car is coming down this street right here and it hits the car and kills the people inside? Now what? What are we going to say? We're going to blame it on him? That's what we would do. We'd blame it on the suspect. It's his fault. He was responsible for those people getting killed, even though we're the ones who shot him in the head and killed them on a drug warrant. Then they realized, well, we better get over there. Stopped. You see where they shot? The direction they were shooting at this house and at this house? And he just rolled into here. What if a car had come down the street here as they were shooting and a car came by and they ended up shooting and killing the people in the car? Well, think about that. And the DA is not thinking about that. And so it's going to happen again and again because we shouldn't have done this. Just plain shouldn't have done this. Now, how prepared is this guy? He doesn't even have a vest on, I don't think, unless he's got soft body. He might have soft body armor. It's fine. He's a drug detective. So, as we're going to go take this guy into custody, they call for EMS, which is good. I like that. They right then they're calling for EMS. We need EMS. That's good. We got to get medical started. That shows care and concern. Okay. Um, this guy should holster his weapon. This person whose body camera we're watching right now should holster their weapon. They don't need to have their weapons out. They should be the ones now to go hands on with this person. But this person right here with a rifle ends up moving in front and starts trying to take him out. But he's got a long gun, a rifle. He shouldn't be doing it, right? Get EMS. I like that. That's good. So as we're watching that, I mean, that's the thing is this is reality, okay? And we can say, well, all the excuses that we hear, all the excuses that we hear every time. But if that's the case, then we should stop training because we should not train and then turn around and do stuff like this. It we shouldn't be surprised at why the public is nervous. We shouldn't be surprised why the public doesn't believe us that we're the best trained we've ever been. Because if we're training for these things, one, they're not going to account for the OODA loop. Two, they didn't account for the safety priorities. Three, dynamic entry or dynamic movement on a warrant service, there's no need for it. There's no need. A narcotics warrant, okay, you know, there's just so much about this. Four, when they finally did shoot, he was driving away from them. Tell me which officers were in danger. They shot him to prevent his escape. That's what they shot him for. They shot him because he wouldn't listen to them, because he didn't stop when they told him to stop. Okay? That's why they shot at him. They didn't shoot because they were about to be run over, because none of them were. When they shot, he tried to drive in between them. He was trying to avoid hitting them more than they were trying to avoid being hit. I'm just being honest here. I'm just being realistic. And again, like I said, if you have as much experience and direct knowledge as I have, fine, weigh in. If you don't, I would ask that you please suspend your uneducated judgment and opinion and just seek to understand. Okay? I love policing. I believe in it wholeheartedly, but I know it needs to be done well. And this is not good policing. It's just not. We can try to excuse it and make up all kinds of stuff like Andrew Brown should have just stopped. He should have. Yeah, you're right. He should have. And people should stop for stop signs, but they don't. And people should not kill each other, but they do. And people should not sell drugs, but they do. Okay. So by putting that responsibility on that suspect, that's a cop out. That's an absolute cop out, and it's an absolute denial of responsibility and accountability. Okay. So we are the trained professionals. We should be the ones working harder than the suspect to do it well. All right. If you agree with me, that's great. If you don't agree with me, that's fine too. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Next year will be 30 years. So I have some understanding and I have some experience and I have some knowledge. Okay. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys later.